Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Strategy Show. Yeah, we had Sims, our first look show yesterday. We got the single lineup Sims today. Very excited for this one. And I will say that I actually ran the Sims first. We have updated projections as we always do. Day late, y'all, says DFS Tools. We're right on time, man. We're right on time. I think they call it fashionably late these days. But the thing about this slate is when I ran the Sims, I go, oh man, I'm actually getting exposure to all of the guys I talked about on the first look show, Greg. So in a sense, that's nice, but it's also not great because I don't want to run into another JJ McCarthy debacle like we did in week 11. So we'll see what we do here. We'll see if we can make something unique in today's show. We're going to build as many lineups as we can in the next hour. So what's up, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Looking forward to this slate and to not jamming JJ. That actually the funniest twist of the show. If we just started it up and you're like, who do you want to put in the first lineup? I go, let's go JJ McCarthy and Viking stacks.
Yeah, let's go JJ McCarthy and who else? Let's go JJ McCarthy and Joshua Palmer. That should be good.
I really like Shedeur Sanders stacks this week.
Yeah, he looked. Oh, dude, you wouldn't believe the amount of people on yesterday's show in the comments that were like, why are you guys saying these bad things about Shedeur Sanders? Why do people care? Right? Like I couldn't care less about him miming interviews. I don't care. Even the draft thing, like, all right, cool, he fell. It was weird that he fell that far, but it's like, all right, good. I really don't care whether he's polarizing or not, and whether you believe he's polarizing or not, or the media just makes it that way. What I'm judging is, he's probably just not that good. And it's really all I care about at this stage of the game. So, yeah, we'll talk about it, Greg. But I do think there are some great quarterback options. Not a ton in the 4K range, but there are some in the 5K range that looks good. And there's nobody 7K or up this week. Josh Allen is not on the slate. I believe they have a bye, actually. If they don't have a bye, it's later. No, they do have it.
They play tomorrow, don't they?
Oh, they got the Texans tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good call. Yep. Did they already have their bye? They did. Yeah. They got the Texans tomorrow. You're right. There's 5.5, 6-point favorites on the road. But yeah, like, all right. So if you look, there's nobody above 6,900. Drake May is the highest priced quarterback, but you have Mahomes against Indy at home in what's kind of a must-win game. Lamar against the Jets, Hurts against Dallas in a near 50-point total game. Dak Prescott against Philly. You could say it's a tough matchup. It is, but it's Dak at home in the Jerry Dome in a divisional spot. And then Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions coming off a really bad loss. Every time they've come off a loss this year, and they've been pretty rough losses, they've traveled back home and beat the piss out of the opponent. So, yeah, I would say that this is a very interesting slate, starting with stacks and starting with the quarterback position.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, we don't have any of the uber expensive quarterbacks. The one thing that stands out to me more than anything on this slate is we've now gotten, and I get he's got a great matchup against the Bengals, Drake May now more expensive than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts. So that's where he's established himself at now.
Does he deserve it? I think he does. I mean, he's played really well.
Yeah. He's the, I think Stafford's actually, it's kind of gone back and forth. I think Stafford's the MVP favorite now. Maybe it's Drake May, but it's kind of been the two of them. Definitely not who I thought was going to be at the top of the MVP award race. Yeah, it's actually Stafford plus 135 to win MVP.
Wow. What's he in, like his 18th season? That's amazing. I don't actually know how many seasons it is, but
you're probably not that far off. He's been in the league since 2009, so not quite, but yeah, he's played 16 seasons in the NFL.
Unbelievable. That's a lot of seasons, man. 16 seasons. Wow. I mean, to think he was playing with Calvin Johnson too,
Yeah, people don't know he played with Barry Sanders.
Yeah, he played with Sanders. That's right. He played before they had the real helmets. He was wearing
leather helmets. Leather helmets he started with.
But no, I mean, Drake May, I think the only difficult part about him, similar to Josh Allen last week, was who do you stack him with? If Kayshon Boutte's back, if he's not back, I think that actually helps. But The one stacking partner that I really like with him this week is Hunter Henry. The Cincinnati Bengals have been just god awful at defending opposing tight ends. I mentioned this to you guys last week, but and I'm not like a huge DVP guy, but they really have been bad. I mean, they've allowed 12 touchdowns to tight ends. No one else has allowed more than 7 this year, Greg, which is pretty wild. 808 receiving yards. That's the most in the league. 97 targets is the most in the league. They've just really been gutted by that position. And you get a guy in Hunter Henry who, it's not like he has a massive target share. Even raw targets isn't that crazy. But I do like this type of spot for a Hunter Henry. You're getting him at what I think he's $3,900, so sub 4K. Stephon Diggs is a nice play, but he's 6,500. I do think at times that you're, I don't want to say overpaying, but maybe you are. And I'll probably, if Kayshon Bouttie's out, I'll definitely get to some of him. But I almost, let's just assume for a second that Boutte doesn't play. I'm almost more inclined to lean towards like the $3,900 Henry, the $4,200 Mac Hollins, because there are so many really good mid-range and expensive plays on this slate. It feels weird going to Diggs in a spot like this, even in a good matchup.
One thing that is kind of interesting, I just pulled up the Patriots projections here on screen. I'll add it here. Is Stephon Diggs. We actually have him projected for 17 fantasy points, even though we Boutte projected in. So 7.5 fantasy points for a Kayshon Boutte, and still we've got Stephon Diggs at 17 fantasy points.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's do we have props on him yet?
No, not on him. I don't think yet. There are a lot of props up, but my guess is we don't have any on Diggs. I pulled it up right now. We do. Yeah. See that his prop is at 52.5 yards. Like I think I'm going to be vindicated on this one, that this comes down quite a bit.
Yeah, you're right. So if we have, let's see. So if his receiving yard prop is 52.5, and then what are his odds to score a touchdown? About even money. So he's getting what, like 3 fantasy points in a projection for a touchdown, something like that. So 5, so he'd be at 8, and then whatever his receptions prop is, let's say it's like, yeah, his projection should probably be around like 14 or something.
Yeah. And again, this is assuming that Boutte is in. Yeah. Mike Vrabel did say he expects him to practice, but if it's a limited practice all week, there's no guarantee he plays, dealing with I think it's a hamstring, right? Yeah, like these hamstring injuries have definitely impacted guys. So we'll see. If Boutte plays, I really do think, and there is no prop on Hunter Henry yet, but I'd be interested there. And we're going to get into the lineups right now, but I want to give us a lay of the land. And Common Pennies mentioned something that I kind of agree with here, Greg. He says, Stephon Diggs' price makes me want to go to A.J. Brown even more. Hollins at 42 is pretty low, how solid he's been. Yeah, now I would want Boutte out, obviously, but if you look at A.J. Brown's price, he's $5,900. I think Devonta Smith is down to like $5,600. Yeah, he's $5,600. Zay Flowers against the Jets, who's been quiet lately but could explode, is cheaper than Stephon Diggs. So Jamison Williams is $5,700 against the Giants in a game where they are 10.5-point favorites. All I'm saying here is that I do think, if you're paying for Diggs, you are paying, I think is a good way to put it, actually. You are paying more for the matchup than you are paying for the player in a spot like this. And I oftentimes would rather pay for the player over the matchup. I prefer both, right? It's nice to have both. But I'd rather pay for the player over the matchup.
Smith and Brown both have higher yardage props than Diggs has.
Yeah, sure. Facing the Cowboys.
Yeah, when our projections update in a couple of days or so, I'm fairly sure we're gonna have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith both projected better than Stephon Diggs. So I don't agree. I don't disagree with what Common Penny said at all there. And you just look at some of the ownership we have right here. Not that it's non-existent, but 12% to Devonta Smith, 10% to A.J. Brown. This is going to lead into us building a lineup. 5% for Jalen Hurts. We know how bad the Cowboys passing defense has been, how it's a spot we've targeted a lot this year. If people are truly not going to play the Eagles passing game in a meaningful way against the Cowboys, I think this is a really interesting stack for the slate. We're not that far removed either from, Ben was all over it a few weeks ago, the Jalen Hurts double stack with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. That won all of the GPPs just a few weeks ago. And then you get a down passing game from Jalen Hurts and what was a win over the Lions. And now, at least per our initial ownership projection, people like, no thanks on the Eagles. And I think that's a mistake by the field.
I'm with you. I will say just the one caveat is that Lane Johnson is not going to play because he's got an injury. And this team has very much struggled with Lane Johnson out. Fred Johnson's decent replacement. They brought him back. He's decent, but there's that. And then you now have Quinnen Williams in Dallas. So I do think this is different than we've seen in recent weeks, but also the game still has a very high total. Envious says Eagles don't pass enough. Feels like a Barkley game. So I actually see it as both, Envious. I think Barkley at a mid 7K price point looks really good. And I think the passing game looks good as well. This could go two different ways. And the Eagles are just one of those teams where it's unfortunately very difficult to predict. You would think that with a concentrated offense, it would be easier. It's actually not, because this is the type of team that will just take what the defense is giving them, and they never have to force it because their defense has been so dominant. So when your defense is that dominant, Greg, you're not really forced into making these type of calls. But when you have CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson on the other side, and Dak Prescott, who is a great quarterback, sometimes it will force the Eagles into doing more. It's just, the problem is, what if Saquon Barkley just runs, has two huge runs early on, and then it doesn't really matter because Dallas still has to throw, but the Eagles don't. So there's just a lot of ways it could go.
Yeah, I just want to be overexposed to all of them relative to the ownership projections right now. And to be honest, I don't even care that much about Lane Johnson being out because we saw the Cowboys give up 450 yards to Russell Wilson as a quarterback. And
it's a different team, though. We have to at least acknowledge their defense is still not good, but they're not nearly as bad as they were when they had everyone injured and no Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously adding Quinnen Williams certainly does help on that front, but it's still a defense that I don't think is particularly good. And also the recent matchups they've had, like, all right, they played Geno Smith and the Raiders last week. Hard to put too much stock into that spot. It's not like they shut them down either. And just the week before that, they did get kind of crushed by the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
Yep. No, I know. I do think Williams getting Overshown back, that they'll be a little bit better and they're at home. But I agree, there's shootout potential. I don't want to read too far into it for sure. All right, so let's dive into this. The last comment in chat before we build a lineup here is, Zach, is it worth paying down at running back this week, or do we try to make the studs? We're going to talk about that because I don't think it's a great week to pay all the way down. But if guys like Tootin end up sitting, ETN ends up looking a lot better against this Arizona defense, there could definitely be some spots. Emmanuel Wilson, if Josh Jacobs is out, but right now it's kind of hanging in the balance, Greg. So it's tough to say this early in the week. At the very least, we need Wednesday practice reports to get any insight there.
We do have this is going to change, but we have an insanely high ownership projection on Bijan Robinson right now. We've got him projected for 64% ownership. I do not think that is going to hold, but this is a crazy good spot for him at the same time. But we don't have like a Christian McCaffrey on this slate who's projecting for 27 fantasy points like he did for us last week. We've got 22 fantasy points for Jahmyr Gibbs, 22 fantasy points for Bijan Robinson. So that is different compared to some of the other weeks where we've had spend ups who are like 26, 27 fantasy point projection that we had last weekend.
Yeah, look, that Bijan Robinson ownership is just not right. He won't be above 25. I don't think.
Depends what else opens up over the course of the week. It's hard to say. He definitely won't. I guarantee he won't be 64 though.
Yeah, no chance. I don't think it's that good of a spot for him.
I think, well, I was going to say the game script does, but at the same time too, it's back to Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and we saw how poorly that went earlier in the season. So, as subpar as Michael Penix has been, especially relative to expectations, it seemed hard to say earlier on the season you could have a massive downgrade from Penix, but we've seen that Kirk Cousins is.
It's just interesting because the last time that Kirk Cousins started and Drake London was out, because Drake London's not going to play this week, was against Miami, and they lost 34-10. You know, it's like Thog says with a totally washed Cousins, he has to get 25 touches. Sure, but I don't know. If you're the Saints defense, are you not just saying, all right, well, just stop Bijan Robinson and the Falcons are going to be incapable of doing anything? And he had 12 touches against Miami last time out when it was Cousins without Drake London. 12 touches in that game. So again, it's only one game, right? For sure. But it's not like Miami's defense is a world beater. The Saints have a better defense than Miami. So we'll see how that plays out. If he's super chalky, then I'll be fully off. But if you guys don't mind, atone for your sins this fine morning, hit that thumbs up. Forgot to ask you earlier, subscribe to the channel. And hey, I don't know if it's available, but if that hype button pops up, if you're watching after the fact, tap that hype button. It helps get this video out to more people. And of course, leave a comment down below. Let us know your favorite stack for this week. I have 3 particular ones that I love. And it looks like Greg wants to start it off with a Jalen Hurts stack. Are we going skinny or double here? Very cheap to go double, even if you wanted to go Goddard in there over one of the receivers.
Yeah, so just kind of checking out some of the pricing here. Goddard is very cheap at 4,200, but I actually want to do the Devonta Smith and AJ Brown lineup and just see how this ends up coming out. I don't know how well it's going to sim because we do have pretty low projections on AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I also just disagree with our projections. I think these guys should be higher based on what some of their prop projections are, but I want to start with this and just kind of see how it ends up simulating out.
All right. So we have Hurts, Devonta Smith, and AJ Brown. This is for you podcast listeners out there. Hit us with a rating and a review if you don't mind. But like I mentioned earlier, and I'm not saying to do this, Dallas Goedert too, if you're looking for these stacks, been kind of quiet, but so is the whole Eagles offense over the past couple of weeks. I think he's 4,200. Decent tight end play this week if you're looking to get cheaper there and get away from the double wide receiver. At running back, well, actually, just do me a favor. Just plug Saints defense in here for a second.
Okay. Saints defense. Let me just unselect this game and then get all the rest of the games up. What's the price point on the Saints defense? It is 2,500.
They look great this week against Kirk Cousins at home. They look good. Dwayne, throw in Derrick Henry. The Sims don't love him right now. I think Derrick Henry is going to be a guy that we have to manually boost if you want to get to him. And I might honestly do it. I don't love the Keaton Mitchells getting some work, and they are 13.5-point favorites where Derrick Henry could lose work late. But that game to me looks like one where Lamar doubles could be huge, or Derrick Henry could just go off for 200 yards in the first half. It's a balancing act, man. It's a tough one. But the running back position, Greg, I'm curious to know where you stand here, because if Samaje Perine is out again, then I do think even in a slightly difficult matchup that Chase Brown, based on volume alone, with Jamar Chase suspended, has to be, one of our top guys in consideration at 6,200. The volume, if Perine is out, is just way too significant to overlook, and his floor seems way too high with them at home. He's involved in the passing game, so he's game script proof at this point. We have Josh Jacobs out based on this Emmanuel Wilson projection. He looks fine, but I like Chase Brown if Perine's out over any of those other guys in the low 6K range.
Yeah, and one other thing of note here as well with Jamar Chase being suspended is he appealed it, but from what I understand, the appeal was
denied.
It was denied. The suspension was still upheld, so we could anticipate, like, for sure that Jamar Chase is going to be out. That was like the only thing I had some hesitation about. But yeah, Chase Brown, you look at his workload last week with Perine out, 8 targets in the passing game. He also had 18 rushing attempts for 99 yards. The game before that, he had 14 targets in the passing game. Now you're taking Chase out of the picture. I think that Chase Brown is in line for a massive workload here if the stars align. We've already got for sure Jamar Chase is out. It seems like Perine fairly likely to sit out again. We'll have to get confirmation on that. But, I mean, even if Perine plays, I think Chase looks at least decent with Jamar Chase out. But then if he's out, to me, he's the best overall running back play on the slate.
No question. He had 127 total yards from scrimmage. He had 26 opportunities between rushing attempts and targets, while Taj Brooks played 7 total snaps, 1 carry, 0 targets. So in the last 2 games with no Pirine, because Pirine got hurt after his first snap 2 weeks ago, I mean, yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point that Chase Brown makes a lot of sense. Did you want to run back a Dallas player here?
No, and here's the issue. The Dallas guys are super expensive now. CeeDee Lamb is 7,900. Pickens is 6,900. Then you look at running back. Javonte Williams is up to 6,500 as well.
And I hate this spot for Javonte too.
They're just so expensive. It's the salaries on the Cowboys guys, who are without a doubt in a worse spot than the Eagles pass catchers. You've got CeeDee Lamb is $2,000 more than AJ Brown. He's $2,300 more than Devonta Smith. George Pickens is $1,000 more than AJ Brown. He's $1,300 more than Devonta Smith. The price tags are just too exorbitant for me.
Yeah, we had a couple questions on Yosivas. He makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, $4,100. No Jamar Chase. You're going to see a lot of Christian Rodriguez on T. Higgins, who, truthfully, Joe Flacco has not looked his way as much as you'd think. He had a decent game last time out. Of course, he had 8 targets last game, 9 targets the week before. But when you consider that Joe Flacco's passing volume, he's attempted 87 passes over those 2 games. That's what? What are you talking? 17 passes, 17 targets on 87 pass attempts, sub 20% target share there. So, yeah, I think Yosivas actually looks pretty good in a spot like this. And I think it's reasonable to say 6-7 targets at 4,100 here with less problematic defensive attention. Sure. I have no problem with that. I like Zay Flowers a lot this week at 6,300 too, though, Greg. I wouldn't mind throwing him into some lineups. I love JSN against Tennessee with Seattle coming off a bad loss. Darnold got picked off 4 times. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. And I like Jahmyr Gibbs if we're talking the running back position. How much salary do we have remaining in this lineup? That's the question. 5,800.
Yeah. So we have $5,800 left for a running back, a wide receiver, tight end, and flex spot.
Okay. And yeah, Envious, I do agree. He said, I'll pay for Dallas at home. They'll be forced to throw. Yeah, look, the Eagles have a wonderful secondary, and their pass rush since they added Jalen Phillips is great. Nolan Smith is back. Nakobe Dean is healthy. This defense is coming together, but it's really hard to run on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Really tough. Jalen Carter in the middle, Jordan Davis, and these guys are really difficult to run against. And this run defense has improved dramatically since they got healthy. So, yeah, I do think there's something to be said about they may just be forced to throw, and on volume alone they get there. But we're not going to be able to really fit these guys anyway. Can we make Jahmyr Gibbs fit?
Maybe. We definitely have to put Emmanuel Wilson in the lineup in that case, just because just classic value spot. Jacobs not expected to play. Wilson is $5,300, so super cheap. So I think just in the interest of getting somebody cheap in, if we throw him in, let's see if we try to get Gibbs, can we make him fit in the flex? Let's see. Gibbs in the flex would give us $4,800. Yeah, that works. $4,800 left for a wide receiver and a tight end.
All right. Throw in Hunter Henry.
Okay. Henry at 3,900. That gives us $5,700 for a wide receiver spot. And I'll press only show the affordable players. Who projects best? We could go Wan'Dale Robinson or Jameson Williams. 2 guys who I'm fine with in this final spot.
Man, I love the idea of having Gibbs paired with a wide receiver and no Jared Goff. I love that this week against the New York Giants. So throwing in Jameson there to me makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, same with Robinson. Robinson would give us another game stack on the opposite side of Gibbs, but either of them I think are serviceable. They both project well for us.
A pretty crazy lineup for those listening in podcast or with their phone in their pocket right now. Jalen Hurts, Chase Brown, Emmanuel Wilson. This is assuming Josh Jacobs is out. Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown to complete the double. Jamison Williams, who's been far more involved since the bye week. Hunter Henry against Cincinnati, that's been a sieve against tight ends. Jahmyr Gibbs and Saints D. I mean, it's pretty balanced overall. I hope it sims out well because I like this lineup.
Yeah, the thing that gives me the biggest hesitation is, it does sim out really well. I was going to say the only thing that gives me hesitation is that we don't have the Eagles pass catchers projected well as of right now. But that didn't end up mattering when we simmed that lineup out. It came out really well.
I love it. Oh man, that's a cool looking build. And I've been toying with a lot of this already this week. There's a lot of like very balanced builds you can go with, Greg, that look awesome. If you don't want to pay up for JSN or any of these other guys. Yeah. Tyler, Brock Wright at tight end. Yeah, sure. You could go Brock Wright at tight end. That's fine. But I don't love him here. I know he was targeted 7 times last game, but they were just throwing the ball left and right with every ball hitting the ground. And sure, with Laporta on the IR, I don't think it's crazy to go to Brock Wright, but I don't love him. All right. So let's try something else here. Or go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say Brock Wright to me is more of a showdown play. There's a lot of showdown slates I end up because he's always like 1,600, 1,400, something on a showdown slate. He's going to get some amount of targets. The problem is he kind of has a cap ceiling. Like if you absolutely needed to plug somebody into the 3K price point, sure, whatever, press his name. In general, though, this has been a really strong season for tight ends and high upside tight end games. Like Trey McBride gets like 10, 12 targets every single game, and he projects for over 20 fantasy points for us. It's just hard for me to think that there's that much ceiling on a main slate for Brock, right?
I feel pretty similarly to you. Watch, he has 2 touchdowns on like 3 targets for 30 yards, which is possible. But I don't see that being the case. All right, get to this next lineup. Before we do, shout out to Deepak. He actually tweeted us the other day too. That ever since he's been using the Stokastic tool since August, he's just been on a massive heater. Dude took down the milli. Can you believe it? Is it 3 or 4 millis that we have this year? And the mini max, yeah. Is it 3 or 4 millis that we have this year for Stokastic?
We're up to 4 now. We're up to.
That's what I thought too.
Winners.
I was told 3 by Joey, but I swear it's 4.
And how many main slates have there been so far this year?
11.
Right. 11. So yeah. So I mean,
that's insane.
Yeah, we've got like 40% of the slates. Somebody with Stokastic avatar is winning a milli.
That is unbelievable. That is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. The tools are just dominating, man. And shout out to our boy Einsteinium too. Had a great finish in the showdown. And this one too, I didn't want to overlook. David Linsmeyer, dude, took 1st, 2nd, 5th, 15th, 17th, and 18th in the showdown for a solo 1st and a solo 2nd, Greg. That's insane, dude.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Wait, did he? Oh, wait, I didn't even see he had 50K cash in on college football right next to that the day before.
Yeah. So that was NFL Showdown. A hell of a weekend for him because that was the NFL Showdown slate for the Sunday night. He took down 50K, and then college football the day before. He won the main slate for 50K there as well. 2 top heavy contests. So yeah, back to back from what is it? Dave DeLinz. Dave DeLinz. I think that's how it's pronounced. But yeah, crushing both college and NFL.
Awesome, man. He said, I decided to finally use the Sims to help me along. Followed that with a big Saturday in college. Amazing. We usually do, I said yesterday, we usually do sales whenever we have a milli winner, but we can't. That would mean we'd have 4 sales already for millis this year. We didn't really anticipate that. But if you guys want to get the tools for free, you know the way to do it. No better way. There is not a site out there that gives you an opportunity to get in on these tools as a low stakes player for $5 or $10. I mean, it's really free because all of these sports books or these pick'em sites or the sweepstakes books, all of them are matching your deposit anyway, or they're giving you bonus picks, or bonus bets. There's simply no better way to do it. Use that link in the description. If you're on your phone, just tap it to expand the description. You know how to do it. If you're on your computer, All you have to do is follow these steps, right? So if you want a free month or more of The Sims, which is $130 value for The Sims Core NFL, click claim offer on any of these. Let's say you do it on Onyx. You spend $10 and you get 100 in bonus picks. It's a sweepstakes book. It's available in 40 plus states. Click claim offer. You go in there, you sign up. You have to click claim offer. We can't track it. Deposit and place a bet. So you'd spend $10 on Onyx. Place a bet. When that bet settles, just take a screenshot of it and your welcome email. Okay? Then email us, not them, at support@stokastic.com and tell us what you want. So essentially you'd be like, hey, signed up on Onyx. Can I get a free month of NFL? If you signed up on Caesars, Onyx, Fanatics, and BetMGM, that's anywhere from like $30 to $40 total. You could get 4 months of The Sims. And it doesn't have to be just NFL. As long as you follow those steps by clicking claim offer and following those up top with the screenshots and letting us know what sports you want, that's it, man. You could go, all right, I'll take 2 months of NFL. That'll take me through essentially, mid to late January. So basically through the playoffs. And I'll take 2 months of NBA as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. So if for anyone that's ever been like, man, I want to use the tools, but they're too expensive, that's not true. Absolutely not true. And we got a lot of low stakes players. I put these up all the time. A lot of low stakes players that are always saying, hey, I used the sim or I used the link join, spent $5 or $10. Kevin took down $2,000 right after he signed up. I'm not saying this happens for everybody, but you're getting tools that are giving you an edge, right? Pedro's another one. I'm a low stakes player, get a free month with Sleeper, and 2 weeks later, this happened. 4 entries in the quarter jukebox and took 4th place. So you can do it in low stakes, and you'll have a competitive, true advantage over the field, especially in these low stakes contests. So that's the way to do it if you haven't done so yet. Link down there below, and just email us once you completed those steps. It's a very, very easy process.
Also wanted to shout out Tyler, just because he threw up here in the chat that he has signed up for BetMGM last night to get the free Sims. Looking forward to jumping in on it. So shout out to Tyler for taking advantage of the offer.
Smart, man. Smart. And it was what, $5 or $10 deposit? Nothing. Plus you might win your bet. You might win that crazy lotto and now you're super happy. Anyway, I want to build. There's a couple builds I want to do. We don't need to do them all, but the ones I'm most interested in would be a Chiefs stack, potentially an onslaught. Sam Darnold at 5,400, stacking JSN, maybe even Rashid Shaheed, who I think this could be the week. Or Drake May or Jared Goff. Those are the spots I have some real interest in. Anybody of the 4, Mahomes and the Chiefs, Darnold and the Seahawks, Goff and the Lions, or May and the Patriots that you are most interested in, that you want to plug in? Because I'm fine with any of those.
I mean, I'm a pretty simple man. I see JSN on a main slate. I click his name and I play a lot of him, and then let the slate play out how it will. So I'm inclined to say the Darnold to JSN stack.
All right, let's do it. I want to double though.
Okay.
I want to double stack here, and I actually do want to try it with Rashid Shaheed.
We could do that. Rashid
Shaheed in the first week. And you didn't expect much from him anyway, but that game got so far out of reach, right? They were just dismantling. Was it Arizona or Washington? I can't remember at this point, but just totally dismantling them that it didn't matter. And he only played 34% of snaps. He had just joined the team at the deadline, but then 54% of snaps last week. I think you see that come up again. And if you're talking about a guy like Rashid Shaheed, I do like him as a stack attachment, Greg, because it's not a type of guy that you're necessarily playing for volume, right? You're playing Rashid Shaheed to give you like the big touchdown, which we've seen him do with bad quarterbacking in New Orleans for quite some time now. So pairing him as a sub 5K price point, I think makes a decent amount of sense. And the encouraging part here is that he did only play 54% of snaps, but he ran 34 routes in that game. Right? Like JSN ran 44. If you start seeing that trend even more towards even between those two guys, I start to like that quite a bit. So the fact that he ran routes on 75 almost percent of dropbacks, if we're double stacking, let's just go all the way here.
Okay. So we got Sam Darnold, we got JSN, we got Shaheed. I think you'll be in agreement with me on this. I have negative interest in Titans run backs.
Yeah, no chance. There's nobody there. There's actually nobody you could even play unless you wanted to go Chiga Kongwu. DK and Iomatter might not even play. Calvin Ridley's out, so it's gross.
Yeah, obviously the running backs, that's going to be a no too. So no run backs here.
All right. Yeah, no chance. Let's go. Now we can do whatever we want. Not as far as salary goes, but I don't think we need to do any correlation here. We already have the correlation. Like you said, we're not running it back. Not going Pollard or Tajay Spears or any of those guys. If you want to go for value, that's fine. If you want to try and load up some expensive guys, I'm fine with that too.
I plugged in the Saints defense to see what that would give us for salary. That gives us $5,700 left for 2 running back spots, wide receiver, tight end, and the flex. So let's see. Running back, Chase Brown, Emmanuel Wilson. Just the way we have him projected, I'm really inclined to plug Emmanuel Wilson into a lot of lineups, but I'll leave that up to you if you're good with plugging him into another one.
I have no problem with it. Yeah. I mean, again, it's Wednesday morning. We don't have practice reports. I assume Jacobs is out, but we don't actually know. Yeah, he looks good. I mean, I ran the Sims earlier. Chase Brown, Kamara, Wilson. We were getting a lot of those guys. Oddly getting a bunch of Kareem Hunt. I can't say I'm in love with that. But Gibbs was another one. I would be interested in trying to get Barkley into one of these lineups too. Since we went with a Jalen Hurts double, I'd like to see what it looks like with Barkley.
Sure. We could plug Barkley in. Barkley, I think, is a pretty good pivot off of the more expensive running backs. You've got a modest 10% ownership going to him right now. He is $7,500 as compared to the $8,500 on Robinson or the $8,300 on Gibbs. So, yeah, I don't have an issue with plugging him in as the other running back. It's like I said before, if this was the ownership that we had on all of the Eagles players, I would be overweight to Hurts. I'd be overweight to Barkley, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Goddard, the whole lot of them. I'd be overweight to all of them against the Cowboys if this is what the actual ownership holds as.
Me too. The whole game, really. So we got Barkley, Emmanuel Wilson, with the Smith and Jigba, Rashid Shaheed stack with Sam Darnold. That gives us 5,200 remaining. Not bad. Go to tight end. There's actually some decent options here in the lower range. You have Noah Fant with no Mike Gesicki, no Jamar Chase. That's somewhat appealing. They're going to have to throw to somebody. He's been underwhelming this year, but, he's found the end zone 3 times. You're probably talking like a 5-6 target game here. I can get behind that. He's $3,100. I actually, at $3,100, I don't think you need all that much convincing to say Noah Fant's a pretty decent play in this spot.
No, not at all. No Fant. We've got him projected for 8.5 fantasy points, $3,100. I mean, there's so many targets up for grabs in that Bengals offense. We all know what Jamar Chase's role is like. Now you're taking him out of the picture. Everybody's going to look better and underpriced, especially because at the time the pricing came out, none of us had an idea that Jamar Chase was going to be out for this week. So let's go Noah Fant at close.
I don't know if that's true because they priced T. Higgins at 7,100.
But the pricing came out for this week before there was any idea that he was going to potentially be suspended.
I don't think it did. It comes out on Monday.
Maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe I'm
wrong. All I'm saying is the T. Higgins price point to me was shocking, dude. 7,100. I mean, he scored last week, but he had 15 fantasy points. He was 6K flat. They boosted him 7,100 against the Patriots.
I think it's because the week before he had 121 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Maybe, but I think the whole spitting thing, people realize that on Sunday after the fact. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but there's nobody else on the Bengals priced up. Like Yoshi Voss is 4,100, Font is 3,100. So, by the way, Nolan chat asked what's going on with Kincaid. He's out. He's also not on the main slate. But yeah, Kincaid is out right now. But either way, yeah, I think that Font's a pretty good tight end play, and that gives us $6,300 for a wide receiver and a flex.
Ooh, that's beautiful. So you're telling me we got JSN, Barkley, Wilson, assuming Jacobs is out. And honestly, even if that didn't happen, if Bashal Tutin's out, you could go ETN at like 5,600. So this looks very similar. We'd still have north of 6K remaining per player, and you get Noah Fant with no Jamar Chase. Okay, let's go. I mean, you could plug Zay Flowers in here at 63, and then you could go Jamar Chase. Although I don't know if I love him with Noah Fant in the same lineup, but you could go Flowers. We could go Stephon Diggs if you want. You want to go Diggs in this lineup? I'm fine going Diggs here since we went Hunter Henry in the last one.
Yeah, we could try plugging Diggs in. And what does that give us? That gives us 6,100. And then let's just see whoever projects the best for the 6,100. Alvin Kamara projects best for us. Although we could also go to Brock Bowers.
Go to Kamara here, and then let's see, how much is he?
He's 5,500, so that would leave us $600 on the table. So if we wanted to, we could see if there's somebody we could upgrade Diggs to.
I think Diggs projects well enough that it might not even make sense.
Diggs is still the best.
Could we upgrade?
Let's see if we could get not really significantly. Maybe the defense we could upgrade.
Yeah, just upgrade the defense. Because this is not a bad lineup.
Okay, yeah, we could change this to the Browns defense.
Give it a try, and then after this, I want to do a 2v2 swap and see what happens. As a matter of fact, I want to let the single lineup sim optimize something and see what we get. You'll like this.
All right, so we've got Darnold, Wilson, Barkley, JSN, Shaheed. So that's the double stack with Darnold, by the way, 52.4% sim ROI. Stephon Diggs. Noah Fant, we've got Alvin Kamara, and then we've also got the Browns defense, and ended up coming 52.4% sim ROI. Who did you want to optimize?
So take the Browns out.
Okay.
Take Kamara and Diggs out.
Okay.
Right. So now we have the 5,000 remaining, which is obviously way more than that because we're including defense there. If we optimize this on 0% randomness, do we get this? What do we get?
We got Chase Brown, Zay Flowers in the Saints defense.
That's actually the combo I mentioned a second ago.
Yeah, let's see how that comes out. Yeah, that was the initial one that you had laid out. Yeah, a little better. 71.6% sim ROI. So that does look better. Is
there anyone you could can you replace Noah? Let's try one more thing, right? Since we're having some fun here. Take Fant and Barkley out and see what it optimizes to. You can put it on randomness or not. Totally your call.
I have a feeling it's going to give us a Trey McBride. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. I was going to say, oh, no, Hunter Henry tight end. But no, Trey McBride's there.
Double tight end. So does this come out better?
I'd say probably about the same. Maybe not, though. I'm
going to say 90.
Trey McBride does project so much better than every other tight end. Yeah, you're right. 95.3% sim ROI.
I don't know about you, but it feels like there's a lot we can do with lineups this week where we don't even have injury reports or practice reports. It's possible that Travis Etienne just looks way better. Wilson, we already have projected high, but like him and a few other guys that if they end up sitting, if Marvin Harrison Jr. ends up sitting again, Michael Wilson is still sub 5K against Jacksonville.
Yeah, what do we have projected right now, actually? Because I'm not even sure we did in our projections. I'll check it out. We have, where's the card? Here's the Cardinals game. All right, so we have Marvin Harrison out right now. So we have Michael Wilson projected for 12 fantasy points. Trey McBride's going to project better than every other tight end, no matter what, whether Harrison's in or out. But it is worth noting that his projection at least slightly boosted because of Marvin Harrison being out. So he's in for 20 and a half fantasy points. So that does make the Brissett stacks kind of interesting. I would definitely be concerned. They crushed so hard last week. And that was something like, I was looking back at it, it was like 16 of the top 20 lineups in the Millie were Jacoby Brissett stacks. I do get concerned that he just gets to be crazy popular because of what happened last week.
I agree. If Wilson ends up being just mega chalk, that'll be tough. But also, it would have been nice if they priced him right. Maybe it makes maybe it just creates opportunity. You don't go to Wilson this week. Because that price is so cheap, he ends up becoming super chalky. I could see that. But I also think Michael Wilson's a pretty decent player is the thing. And that's why I have a tough time not wanting none of him, because I actually think he's pretty decent. So I don't know. We'll see. What do you want to build next? For a little FanDuel action here?
Yeah, let's head on over to FanDuel, build a lineup on the FanDuel side of things, and we could build a stack around a QB that we have not yet gone to. So here's one that makes sense to me. He's also, because he's the chalk on FanDuel, you mentioned as him being somebody you had interest in on DraftKings as well. Let's try them home stack.
I love it. The first thing I want to see, how expensive is Xavier Worthy? Because he's been underwhelming. Ben and I liked him as a contrarian pivot last week. Underperformed once again. Clearly a tougher matchup last week than this week. They're at home in a must-win game. Colts are coming off a bye, but who knows? This could evolve into a shootout. And Worthy's 4,700 on DraftKings.
6K on FanDuel. So still pretty cheap. Like for reference, Alec Pierce is more expensive on FanDuel than Xavier Worthy is.
Okay, and then, I guess the bigger question is, how much is Kelsey?
Kelsey is 6K.
Yeah, then it's got to be Rice and Kelsey here.
Okay, so we'll go Kelsey and Rice. Gives us the double stack. And then there's a lot of players to potentially like from the Colts too. Obviously, you could go with Jonathan Taylor, although he is super, super expensive.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, he is 10K. And you're almost certainly going to need multiple touchdowns out of him on FanDuel, that kind of price point. So that's a little bit of a harder click for me. But Alec Pierce, big play receiver at 6,100. You've got Pittman at 6,600. You've got Downs at 5,900. We could go double tight end and throw Tyler Warren in here at 6,500. I'm kind of most inclined to just go Pittman here, but who do you want as a run back?
I mean, I don't even need a run back. If you want a run back, we can go for it. I don't think it's totally necessary. Pittman's got a tough matchup. I don't think we need to do a run back, honestly. And one of the reasons is that if it's not Jonathan Taylor, we kind of are like throwing darts in a sense. You have Pierce, you have Pittman, you have Downs, you have Warren, and the matchup stinks. So I don't know if I love it. Do any of them project really well?
Alec Pierce actually does for us.
Does he?
Yeah.
But he's more expensive than Worth. Like he's over 6K.
Yeah, he is projecting well though. And to bring something up that I was pretty surprised in when I was looking at some of I bring this up on the show a decent amount, and I've talked with you about this, but some of the best ball rankings for the rest of the season, I was stunned how high Alec Pierce is getting drafted. And that made me look at his workload. I didn't realize how many targets he's been getting as of late. It's insane. Alec Pierce over the last 4 weeks, 10, 5, 13, and 7 targets for Alec Pierce.
That is insane. That is actually insane.
I didn't realize that.
No, and he's also been good.
Yeah.
That's genuinely. I know he was, seeing a quality amount of targets, but wow. I'm going to put, while you work through this, I want to pull something up. I just want to see what the target shares from weeks 7, 8, 9, and 10 have been for these guys, for the team.
Sure.
If you want to talk through some of the running back position, because I haven't looked at FanDuel pricing yet. I don't know where the value is this week.
Yeah. So also the tie-in anyway to the best ball is like, I was just looking at where everybody was getting drafted and whatnot. I was like, why is Alec Pierce a 6th round pick right now in the midseason best ball drafts? Then I go ahead and I start to look at some of his targets. I'm like, oh, well, okay, I could see why that's the case. And then we go ahead and we start looking at some of these lineups here. And yeah, I kind of like Alec Pierce as the run back. Just he's relatively cheap on FanDuel, and the targets have been massive lately. And he's always been a big play receiver. He's been a guy who has never gotten the big targets, but when he has gotten the targets, they've generally been downfield, and he's had potential for big play upside. And now it just seems like it's coming with like a real dominant role as a wide receiver. He's kind of the number one wide receiver for the Colts now.
You know that really famous meme, the guy blinks his eyes and like turns his head, does kind of a smirk where he's like, I can't do it, but you have to know it's the like a 90s looking white guy where you know what I'm talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
He actually tweets all the time like, hey, this is me. It's his claim to fame. And then he tries to sell some product or whatever. Actually, maybe a charity. Can't remember. But regardless, you guys know who I'm talking about. He's sitting down and he does like that type of thing. That is exactly the expression I just felt when I saw these previous 4 weeks. So check this out. First of all, 25% targets per route run over the last 4 weeks, 2.5 yards per route run, which is way better than anyone else in Indianapolis. 26% target share. Here's the kicker, Greg. 59% of team air yards. He has 700 air yards over the last 4 weeks. No one else has more than 247. So while him and Michael Pittman are pretty close in targets, the value of those targets that have gone to Alec Pierce recently, I mean, they genuinely do look really good. I'm trying to do it. I can't. I'm trying, but I think you guys get the point. You make a good point. He's viable.
Yeah. So anyway, I just went ahead and plugged Pierce into this as the run back. I think it's worth pointing out that Alec Pierce has probably been more involved and has been better than you guys realize. And I'm definitely I'm definitely imposing my own experience looking at his numbers. For whatever reason, I had just not noticed how good Alec Pierce has been the last few weeks. And I'm going to be playing him in DFS this weekend. Me
too. I'll have some. He's 5K on DraftKings. That's really not bad. Not bad at all. I may look to throw something up on Tails as well. Obviously it's assuming we get a decent number. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if the market has caught up with him yet. It does make me wonder, like if the market is caught up to Alec Pierce, or if we're all just dumb and Alec Pierce reverts back to getting a couple targets a game. But they certainly do like him. I will say this much though, Greg. I did bet the Chiefs this week. I threw that one up on Tails already. I bet the Chiefs this week, like the Cowboys plus 3.5, the Lions, and this parlay. You know, the cool thing about these, Greg, is if you were to bet a preset teaser on DraftKings or FanDuel and you tease two teams 7 points, you get it at minus 150, right? Mm-hmm. But if you just parlayed the alt lines at 6.5, you get it at minus 120. And it's just a simple workaround to not let the books bend you over. I posted this one up there, Baltimore Ravens and Seattle, little 7.2 team teaser. And I tell people, instead of going in and doing the work yourself, like going in and finding the alt lines and parlaying them, you go in on Tails and follow Greg or follow me, right? Download the Tails app. Go to tails.bet. The link to both of those is in the description. If you just click tail, that's all you have to do. You click tail, right? And then you can see all of the odds on these books. Actually, DraftKings now minus 118. You'd get a better number. You get a better number on DraftKings, minus 118, minus 118 on Onyx. So some of these spots you're getting a wonderful number on instead of doing the preset teaser. And of course, you go over to Greg. He's doing his bankroll challenge over there. Not only that, I know you post a bunch of bets. So for anybody that wants to follow along, you want to get in on the closing line value. The last thing you want to do when tailing Greg's bets is just get them late. You turn on notifications and you click tail, and then it goes straight in, so very cool process, man. I think for those of you who are using Tails, hopefully you're loving it. You got the leaderboard as well. That's going to tell you who's been on a heater, who's had the most profit recently. Supreme Juice has been up there, man, but You can check all these guys out, follow them. Very fun. Make sure you download the app. If you love it, Appreciate you in advance for rating it and reviewing it. We've had a ton coming in lately, and that's the only thing we ask of you. Not for you to open up the wallet, not for you to do anything else except enjoy the app, enjoy the tools, enjoy the free bets, enjoy the notifications and all of the feeds, and leave us a 5-star rating and a review if you have 5 minutes, if you have 1 minute of time throughout the day, throughout the week.
Yeah, the other thing that I was going to bring up about shopping odds, which was kind of related to your finding there on the teaser and how the prices could be different. I find that all the time with double doubles and triple doubles too for NBA, where there might be a price, just making up a number on FanDuel. Like you want to bet Jokic to have a double double, and on FanDuel the number might be like minus 130. But instead of betting, or sorry, for a triple double, the price might be minus 130. What we do instead is you could do the 10 plus rebounds, 10 plus assists, same game parlay. And very frequently I find out those are better odds. So kind of similar to what you were finding there with the teaser numbers.
Some guy was bitching at me on Twitter for posting that yesterday, for giving away EV and giving away the edge. Like, dude, at minus 150, it's just massive negative expected value. It's like, there's nothing positive expected value about it. He's like, well, I didn't say positive. I just said you're giving away EV. Like, okay, dude. He's like, well, they're going to patch it. It's not a patch. It's not, you don't patch something that's not a leak. They designed it intentionally. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not giving away an edge. I'm just the same way you just did with the double doubles. Sometimes we actually like helping people who may be new to betting not get screwed over. That's all it is. We've done. Plus, it's not a secret. If that's a secret, Greg, with like double doubles and teasers, it's literally the worst kept secret ever.
Yeah, I see people do parlays of like 10 plus rebounds, 10 plus assists all the time. People post that kind of stuff. We're not the first people to ever post to, bet an alt over.
Look, if there's a significant edge that I know will get patched, I'm probably not saying anything about it, because it'll be patched very, very, very quickly. And if you do, it'll be gone the next day. But something like this is just helping people lose less money. And if anyone has a problem with that, well, they can eat shit. I hope they do, as you say, patch it. I hope they do. I hope it's gone. Anyway, let's get back to this lineup. We've got Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce with an Alec Pierce run back. Where do we go next at running back?
Yeah, so some of the running back value over on FanDuel, you've got Chase Brown, super cheap at 6,900. Here's somebody who projects relatively well for us that we have not put into any lineups yet, and I actually think he looks even better on FanDuel and DraftKings. Alvin Kamara is $6,100 on FanDuel.
Let's do it.
He's less expensive than Emmanuel Wilson by $400.
Let's do it. He should get a lot of work. I think he's pretty washed. I don't know if it matters. I mean, the Saints are favorites. They are favorites. And Alvin Kamara is coming off of a bye week. If there was a time to do it, at 5,500, it probably is the time to do it. I saw someone mention it in chat earlier, but in that win 2 weeks ago before the bye against Carolina, Alvin Kamara had 22 rushing attempts, dude. 3 targets. He's not been involved heavily in the passing game, which I really do think limits his upside, his ceiling. That kind of sucks, because the touchdown equity for the Saints is so marginal, and I don't like that at all. Alvin Kamara, for what it's worth, literally has 1 touchdown on the season, and it came in week 1, Greg. So that sucks. And you also have Taysom Hill, who is going to vulture goal line carries. But at 5,100 as a slight home favorite, I think you don't need to do much convincing that at the very least, he's viable this week. But there are, you would agree, there are some drawbacks anytime you play a guy like this who is aging on a team that doesn't score a lot of points and has a goal line vulture. Like, things can always go wrong.
Yeah, the maybe the one unknown that could help him out here is that Tyler Shuck, at least so far, has looked okay-ish. He looked actually, I'll actually go a step further. I thought he looked legitimately good in the game against the Panthers. He put up a pretty good stat line as well. We don't know how his inclusion into the offense is going to impact Alvin Kamara, positively or negatively. right? It could even end up being worse
Yep.
for Alvin Kamara. But there is a potential here where Alvin Kamara is priced at such a floor on both FanDuel as well as DraftKings that you could get a situation here where Tyler Shuck being the quarterback slightly benefits Alvin Kamara. And then when he's priced so far down and in a pretty good matchup here against a Falcons team that's going to be starting Kirk Cousins at quarterback, you could end up seeing better results from Alvin Kamara. I think just generally he's in a good buy low spot this week.
Yep. I don't want to have too much, but I'm okay with him. Grade A fantasy, Chase Brown against the solid Patriots defense. I'll be under the field. We'll get increased receiving workload with no Chase, but really a no for me. I mean, listen, man, I guess it depends on how much you value opportunity and volume, because if P. Ryan is out, you're talking probably 90% of snaps, and exclusively the only running back that will touch the football is going to be Chase Brown. Is a guy who has 22 targets over the last 2 weeks with Jamar Chase active. Yeah, I get that it's a tough matchup, but there's something to be said about insane volume. And he wasn't even that good last week. He didn't score and still scored almost 20. So I don't want to overlook the volume there. Volume's king in a spot like this, and he's not overpriced.
Anybody else you feel like we should absolutely have in this lineup? We've got Kamara added right now to our game stack. We've got Alec Pierce as a run back with the Chiefs players. But anybody else we want to take a specific look at here? I know that somebody in chat just kind of put out a case where they are anti-Chase Brown, but he does project very well for us at $6,900. He's the best overall points per dollar play at running back.
I would put him in. He's sub 7K.
I'd rather play. He's $6,900. I'd rather play that than a $6,500 Emmanuel. I like both of them, to be clear, but I prefer Chase Brown at $6,900 to Emmanuel Wilson at $6,500.
So do I. Little different on DraftKings where they're $1,000 difference in price. Let's go. Devin Neiman, feeling great about my 0.33% Chase Brown in best ball. You would have been feeling really good about it early in the season until Joe Flacco took over.
Yeah, and then changed the game. Also, one other thing that's nice, I threw the Saints defense in. We do get a little bit of correlation with the Saints defense and Alvin Kamara, and now we have 2 spots left, Laffy. $7,750 remaining for a wide receiver and a flex spot.
Okay. That actually gives us whatever the hell we want for them. Not really, but Zay's 7K. We'll go away from him just because we've done it. 67. See, that Diggs price point on FanDuel is just too good. And if we optimize this, I have zero doubt that Diggs is going to be in the lineup. Like if we just optimize this and completed the lineup on 0% randomness, it would shock me if Diggs didn't pop up. And he doesn't. But I really thought he would. Who did we get? Wandale and Rashee Rice? No, wait, we had Rice already.
No, Wan'Dale Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs showed up, which I like quite a bit.
Okay. Run it, and then we're going to try one with Diggs. I could not have been more confidently wrong there.
I know you catch parts of me doing the Sunday show where I sit here and build lineups.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
I'm confidently wrong 50% of the time.
Yeah, I know. Where you're like, I really think this will sim out poorly. And it's like 205.
Yeah.
It happens. All right. Just now, let me save whatever pride I have left and see if we can make a decent one without Wandale. Pull Wandale and let's put Diggs in here because we're gonna have to pull Jahmyr Gibbs out too. Jeremy, more at 5% owned is attractive. I agree, Jeremy. It's just that is a weird game. Anytime you have these massive favorites outside of the Lions, it's a weird game because the Lions will keep their foot. Dan Campbell coming off a bad loss on primetime. This dude will keep his foot on the gas. Like he'll score 50 if he can. The Seahawks, it's tough to say. Sam Darnold threw 12 times in that route 2 weeks ago. Ravens, sure, but you still have Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry runs wild early on, well, it's just like even with Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs could go crazy, but he's so heavily involved in the passing game that Goff could get there and Gibbs could get there. It's hard most weeks to see Lamar Jackson, who isn't running as much, get there and Derrick Henry get there. So I agree at 5%, he looks pretty decent. I just don't love that he's not running as much recently. And I don't know how much he's going to have to run in this spot against the Jets, who they may get some pressure, but they simply cannot get home. And we saw that last Thursday. If you're getting pressure on Lamar and you just allow him to get out of the pocket, it's over for you.
Related to that conversation, so when I plugged Diggs in and optimized it, we got to Derrick Henry in the lineup.
Oh,
who is a much better FanDuel score than DraftKings score, where it's more touchdown dependent and the PPR doesn't matter as much.
Let's try it. I think it'll be worse, but I'd be shocked. Here we go. Famous last words. If it wasn't positive, it's got to be positive. It's got
It'll be positive. It'll be positive. It might just sim out a little bit worse than the previous lineup we built. Yeah.
All right. Not bad.
No, very good still.
Yeah, not bad. Anything else? Any other thoughts before we go? We built 3 nice lineups, kind of 4 when we sorted that other one on DraftKings. Anything we haven't hit on before we go?
No, still early in the week, end of the season. There's a lot of injury news. Loughran and I are going to be doing our regular Sims tournament strategy show on Friday, and I have a feeling we're going to have a lot more information this week than we typically do Wednesday to Friday.
Definitely.
Which that'll end up happening once you get into, like weeks 10, 11, 12, 13.
We set these shows up like this intentionally, right? You have first look with no projections yet, but a good kind of lay of the land. Then today we work through a lot of these players, see what type of builds make the most sense. And then on Friday, once we have more information coming in and refined set of projections, and ownership and all the data is updated, we can really see what these lineups are looking like that are given to us, what our exposures are looking like. And to be fair, Greg, like where you and I may look to boost players or to cap players, I think that's all part of the process.
Absolutely. So, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow all of us over on Tails, download the app. If you're enjoying the experience, leave us a review. Just take, I don't know, what's the most amount of time it takes to leave a review? 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
That's if you're really trying to put out a good one. If you guys just want to give us a 5-star rating, write a quick sentence or two, really, really appreciate it. Helps keep our content free, helps expand the app and us to add more features to it. So if you've been enjoying your experience on Tails, just do a favor and leave us a nice review.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Thursday, Showdown, Texans, Bills, live before lock strategy show. Of course, if you missed Josh's strategy show earlier today, make sure to check that out. He's killing it every day on those solos and deeper dive live before lock for NBA. So plenty of sports DFS content coming up. And we will see you back here for the next one. Bye-bye.